This team so desperately needs Joey Votto, but will we see him?
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I'm Braden Wasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, as some of you have in the past couple days. Braden 5 Wasco, Carter First too, as well. On Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays as well. Drop the subscription if you're new to us here on YouTube. Keeps us at the top of your page, keeps you guys informed, helps us out, benefits all, hurts no one. As well, if you're listening anywhere else, we really appreciate it. Hopefully, you guys keeping up with the Reels, Shorts, TikToks, everything sort of in the mix. Blue Jays off day. They had an off day yesterday. And you know what? It got us thinking about a couple things. And you know what? There's been so much news on Joey Votto that's come out. And I think I've seen a lot of different opinions from different people. Just on Twitter, or if it's talking to other fans and what they want to see. Carter, man, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I mean, we'll go over Joey Votto's stats right away. Your immediate thought, there's been a lot going on Twitter with Joey Votto and sort of what the fans expect. Which side do you sort of lean on just before we get into everything?
You know what? Before I even get into that, I'm just going to give us like a full Joey Votto Blue Jays tenure breakdown here, just kind of what Joey Votto has done with the team. So Joey Votto officially signs with the Toronto Blue Jays on March 9th after a lot of interesting comments, obviously, about the Toronto Blue Jays and just Canadian baseball in general. Things that I'm not going to get into here, things that he's apologized about. Just live and learn with Joey Votto. He's an old guy. He's a veteran MLB player. I guess you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's always been a fireball, always been a guy to speak his mind, a little bit of a hothead, but hey, maybe the Toronto Blue Jays need that right now. Spark this offense, to hit some home runs, to spark the power. Maybe you need a little bit of that. It almost looks like roid rage. Not going to say that Joey Votto's on roids, but that's the sort of vibe that he gives me sometimes. So saying that Joey Votto signs with the Blue Jays, he says that he still thinks he can hit at an MLB level. He still thinks he could help out the team. Then you kind of get to spring training here. Joey Votto hits an absolute nuke off of Zach Wheeler. And then in that same game, I don't know if somebody left a bat. There was something must have been going on there. Looks like it might have been an inside job. Joey Votto steps on this bat, rolls his ankle. You think it might be like, it's a 2-week injury. It might at most. I know he's a little bit older, so you give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt here. And then Joey Votto just disappears. He's just gone forever. He could have been in Australia. He could have been in Israel. He could have been in South America somewhere. We have no idea. Joey Votto just disappeared off the face of the earth for a very long time. And this home run wasn't off some bum. This home run was off of Zach Wheeler. So it gave us a little bit of hope as Toronto Blue Jays fans. But yeah, it just seemed like as we got into end of March, as we got into April, you heard absolutely nothing about Joey Votto for a very long time. So I'll get into some dates here as well. May 7th is when we get our first Joey Votto update. It says he's going to start taking some ground balls, getting in some infield work. And then other than that, he's just a slow progression. Don't really hear much about it. And then he finally makes his debut. He starts off in the Florida Complex League, and it wasn't going good. The Sportsnet broadcast was throwing up how many swings Joey Votto had in his first couple of games at the plate. That's never something you want to see. But Joey Votto's been on a little bit of a run recently. He had a couple multi-hit games in a row. He goes to the Dunedin Blue Jays, which is the Toronto Blue Jays single-A team. Starts looking pretty good there. I think, do you have Joey Votto's stats from this Dunedin team, or do you just kind of have it in totality?
I have it as the total of 2024.
Okay,
so that's yeah.
I'll give it to you for the total in 2024, and then I can break it down a little bit farther if you want, and kind of get into how good he has been with the Dunedin Blue Jays.
Yeah, so he's had 33 plate appearances, 10 total bases. He's had 3 extra base hits, 1 hit by pitch, 1 sacrifice. He is currently batting. Let me just pull it up here. I got to sort of go back. He is currently batting 192. There we go. He's batting 192, one home run, five RBIs and then an OPS of 718.
Yeah, I mean, it's, Joey Votto. He's trying. He's 40 years old. He's out there. But yeah, since I'll go over his game logs here since July 1st. Look
Yeah,
at Joey
sounds
Votto.
good.
1 for 3, and he's 3 for 4. The game heard around the world July 2nd. Tried to do it on Canada Day, was 1 day late. He just maybe with old age kind of forgot some timing there. I think he meant to do that on Canada Day. He meant to just get us fired up there. Then he goes 0 for 2, 1 for 3, 1 for 2. These stats aren't mind blowing. It's nothing that's popping off the page. And this is also, I think it's in single A. So he has double A, he has triple A. Is he going to go to double A? Probably not. He's probably going to go straight to triple A. But there has been some rumblings that Joey Votto might be a Toronto Blue Jay sooner than we think. But again, this also matters with the direction of the team. If the Toronto Blue Jays are sellers at the deadline, do you want 40-year-old Joey Votto playing over guys like Leo Jimenez? Do you want him playing over guys like Addison Barger? I would say Raul Martinez, but we know where that guy is. Just pretty much in general, is my point is that I don't want Joey Votto playing over some of these prospects, especially when we can see what they have at the major league level. Especially when Joey Votto's, let's just say this, the flat out honesty, obviously, it's Joey Votto's best years are behind him. He's not going to have some huge 40 home run season at the age of 40 years old. That would be quite the content. 40 for 40 for Joey Votto be absolutely insane numbers. But yeah, looking at Joey Votto, I think it's just Joey Votto might be the last little bit of hope that anyone has with the Toronto Blue Jays. And we're putting all of our hope in a 40-year-old, which is probably flawed with the logic there. But looking at Joey Votto, looking at the Canadian aspect of it, having another Canadian on this baseball team, definitely not something I'm going to complain about. Is Joey Votto going to be this major difference maker? I mean, we can hope so. Like I would love to say that he's going to come out after the All-Star break and hit 25 home runs with the Toronto Blue Jays team. Is it realistic? No, but I think at this point, Joey Votto is something the fans would be looking forward to, something that I would just want to see, even if it's for just a week of baseball. He can be the worst hitter of all time. Can't get that much worse. That's kind of where the point is for me with Joey Votto. He provides power from the left side. He had 14 home runs in 2023. Could be a guy that you switch off with Justin Turner at that DH spot. Could take some first base reps. But again, with Spencer Horwitz raking, which we'll get into later, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., obviously being an all-star. Is that something you really want to get into? I'm not sure, but all I have to say is whoever left that bat at the bottom of the dugout, or whichever bat that bat should have been burnt at the stake. It should have just had the worst outgoing of all time, because Joey Votto just maybe taking a little bit more vacation time. Something might have been going on behind the scenes, but I've never heard of a rolled ankle taking a 10-week recovery time. I don't care how old you are.
Yeah, Carter, and you know what? This is my complete take on Joey Votto and maybe what the possibilities are here. When I look at Joey Votto and I look at his age and everything going on, of course, I'm with you. I do not want him playing over some of these guys. I think there's a very small window to get Joey Votto into the MLB onto this team. And that window is now until the trade deadline and moves are made. If Joey Votto can come in and be a significant role trying to help bring this Blue Jays team somewhat back to 500, that is the only time that he's serviceable. If you bring him in post-trade deadline, it means nothing. You've probably sold some pieces and it's just gone anyway. What is the help of bringing in 40-year-old Joey Votto? So the window is now for Joey Votto. I would love to see him. I think you put it perfectly, of the last little tidbit of hope for Blue Jays fans. And yes, misplaced hope. Don't get me wrong. I think we're all in the back of our heads know that Joey Votto isn't the answer to this team. But in the same respect, to give the fans a little bit of that hope back, maybe bringing in Joey Votto from as soon as humanly possible until that trade deadline, that's what you got. And I don't think he's going to make an appearance before the All-Star break. I think it's going to be between the All-Star break and the trade deadline. And that's not a ton of time, Carter. So it's at this point, I think this is another Blue Jays failed experiment with Joey Votto. They tried. They really did try at the beginning of this year, see if he could do something, get back to, I don't know, a fraction of what Joey Votto was in his prime. It just didn't go their way. Like a lot of this season, a lot of things just didn't go the Toronto Blue Jays way. And Joey Votto might be the prime example or the catalyst to everything that happened. The season went downhill as soon as Joey Votto stepped on that bat. Welcome to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Joey Votto's stats though, 238, his OPS is 861 with the Dunedin Blue Jays. Hey, if you're looking at that from the broad perspective on the Toronto Blue Jays, other than Leo Jimenez, Spencer Horwitz, I guess, also has a higher OPS, but Joey Votto has a higher OPS than Vladdy. Let's start that spin zone. Maybe Joey Votto is just the king. He's going to come up and he is going to rate. I said 25 home runs. Let's just say 35 at this point. Like, he's got it in him. 40 home runs for a 40-year-old. First time it could ever happen. The Blue Jays make history all the time. We're usually on the wrong side of history. Why not make it the good side? But yeah, I don't know. It is fun to just kind of joke around about this stuff. It would be fun to see Joey Votto in a Blue Jays uniform. It'd be one of those. It's like 20 years down the road, especially for people that aren't Blue Jays fans, be like, yeah, Joey Votto played for the Toronto Blue Jays. When did that even happen? Especially with the way this season has gone with that rolled ankle, all this stuff like that. Was there ever really a spot for Joey Votto on this roster? I don't know. Like, at the start of the season, we were talking about who's going to make the lineup over Daniel Vogelbach or Joey Votto. I think that kind of sums up how we thought about Joey Votto going into the season. I'm not sure if anyone else thought Joey Votto was going to be the saving grace. But it's just when you have a Hall of Famer, a Canadian Hall of Famer, you got to get excited about it. I don't care how old he is. It's like when Jaromir Jagr is playing hockey at your age of prime 46 years old and he's on your team. Probably not going to do a ton for you, but just the name, the legacy, it definitely gets me amped up at least a little bit just to just watch Joey Votto play baseball.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's that it's the spectacle factor of baseball, right? It's the excitement, it's the joy, and some of these guys just bring in. Joey Votto is one of those guys. So yes, I agree. At this point, this season's down the drain anyway, pretty much. There is this small, tiny speck of chance that the Blue Jays somehow crawl their way back, but it's so low. Me and Carter went over the numbers. What would they have to go, like 46 and 23 or something, Carter?
That's to get 90 wins. The Toronto Blue Jays want 90 wins. They got to go 40. Is it 46? And it might be 49 because I think they're at 41 wins. 49 and 23 to get to 90 wins. I think that they might get a third wildcard spot with 87. So, hey, that's 46 and 26. Hey, we're moving in the right direction there. But I'm just going to end the Joey Votto segment with this. If Joey Votto comes back to the Toronto Blue Jays team, he needs a personal bodyguard, and it's just a guy that's going to be crawling on his hands and knees, like army crawling, and just looking for bats, looking for anything that could possibly be in Joey Votto's way. Yeah. Clear everything out of the dugout. Nobody's even allowed in the dugout when Joey Votto's in there. Everyone's a hazard. Just make sure he's an old guy, old age. Maybe have maybe give him a little cane even. You just start knocking these bats out of the way. Just need something. You can't. You got to be watching out for those ankles.
Yep, speck of dirt. Blade of grass. Get everything out of the way for this guy. We have lots more to talk about. We have a sort of a jam-packed second segment, and then we do have a series to preview. And we are absolutely dead. Me and Carter have had an absolute weekend. This week is nuts. We have 4 baseball games in 5 nights, plus our regular jobs. So there's a lot going on. We are jam-packed trying to get you guys as much Blue Jays content. Like we said, we're still trying to get to our trade deadline episode, or episodes. We might do it as 2 parts depending on how it goes. But we are grinding it out, trying to come up with sort of a big show for that. So stay tuned. That is going to be insane. So in a couple weeks, that'll come out. We hope you guys enjoy. Stick around. Horwitz splits, IKF, what is going to happen? We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. As I always talk about, FanDuel is one of my favorite apps on my phone. They make it so easy to win. I'm not going to lie. If you use their same game parlays, that's where I've been doing my winning. Anytime I try to make my own, good luck. You might as well throw it out the window. But their live same game parlays are my place to bet. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs are winding down or winded down, we get fewer games. And the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. A lot to get into, Carter. Lot to get into. We're going to be talking about your boy, Spencer Horwitz. I want to call him your boy. I got Davis. You got Horwitz. You're winning the fight right now of these young guys. Well, actually, Horwitz, I can't even say young guy, 29-year-old, older than the two of us. So there's that. But yeah, a lot to talk about. Spencer Horwitz has been absolutely raking with this team. He's been one of the few specks of light of hope on this Blue Jays offense, and he's been doing it well. And then at Carter, I do want to get into IKF because the big question is, what is he going to look like after he comes back from injury? And will he be the same IKF that we've known throughout this entire season, or is he going to regress to the IKF that we've seen prior? I think that's the big question. So I'll give it to you. Whichever one you want to start with, that's where we'll go.
We got to start with Spencer Horwitz, the big guy in the pipeline, the 26-year-old prospect in Spencer Horwitz, just coming up to the major leagues and kind of pulling his best Davis Schneider impression. Coming up, he was in the major leagues a little bit last season, not really any sample size whatsoever, not really counting that. So we're looking at Spencer Horwitz right now. So the big thing right now is, for me, in the question that I'm going to start with is, should Spencer Horwitz be an everyday player? So obviously he's a left-handed bat. He should be able to hit righties better, but I got the Blue Jays left-handed splits right here. It's just batting average, the only one I got. Spencer Horwitz, I know, small sample size, but he has a 364 batting average against left-handed pitchers. The next being Justin Turner with a 310, Ernie Clement with a 302, our boy IKF 300, Vladdy at a 283. And then after that, it goes pretty downhill. You got some 250s. You got Kevin Biggio still on this list at number 8 here. So that's kind of where we're at with this left-handed batting average. I just want, this doesn't have anything to do with Spencer Horwitz, but this one really caught me off guard. Guess what Bo Bichette's batting average is against left-handed pitching?
I don't even want to guess. It's terrible against as a whole, so it's probably terrible against lefties.
He's not even going to throw it out there, but it's
just bad.
It's a whole entire 158 against left-handed pitching. That is typical Toronto Blue Jays baseball in 2024. Just sums it up right there. But Spencer Horwitz, let's get into a little bit of positives because this guy is absolutely raking. Just unbelievable guy, unbelievable teammate. Obviously, a ton of the guys like him. It's very easy, very likable. I like him. Obviously, I'm horny for Horwitz. I could say that a million times on this podcast. But looking at this guy, he's hitting 229, 3 home runs. That was a big issue. They said, is he going to be able to hit for power? Is he going to be able to drive the ball out of the ballpark? I know it's only 3 home runs. The 3 home runs in his sample size is pretty much like Dalton Varsho hitting 12 home runs in his sample size. So he'd probably be, if he was up in the entire season, he'd probably be the second to third on this team in home runs. Again, is that saying much? Not necessarily, because we might have one 30 home run hitter, and that's probably going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and he's still going to have to pick it up to get there. So Spencer Horwitz at 935 OPS. He's not qualified in a lot of these baseball savant stats here, but his weighted on-base average is 389, expected batting average of 289. So it is a little bit slower, but his whiff percentage, his K percentage, and his walk rate is just insane. All would be probably in the 90th percentiles. Walk rate of 14.4, strikeout rate of 13.4. A guy that doesn't have a lot of bat speed, but he barrels up baseballs. He gets good contact out there. A guy that's going to walk, a guy that's going to get deep in counts. Kind of reminds me of Justin Turner in that sense. Is very good at fouling pitches off. Is very good at taking the borderline pitches. I think Angel Hernandez not being in the league is probably helping him out a little bit there, because Angel Hernandez just seems to get a ton of Toronto Blue Jays games, or did, I should say. But Spencer Horwitz, man, like what more can you say about this guy? A guy that was playing first base in his pretty much entire minor league career. Throw him at second base. He doesn't have the greatest arm, but second base, the good thing about playing there is you don't really have to throw the ball too far. So that's another positive there. Spencer Horwitz showing that he's flexible, showing that he is willing to adapt for this Toronto Blue Jays team. Just an unbelievable guy. A guy that, again, you don't necessarily want your AAA guys going to hit the 2 spot every single time they're going out there. But when you're hitting 329, I'm taking that every single day of the week. How do you feel about Spencer Horwitz and his performance on the Toronto Blue Jays this season?
I love him. And you know that. We've talked about this guy constantly. We're both huge fans. He is great to see. He exactly reminds me of the hype. Maybe not quite to the extent that Davis Schneider brought, because that was just unbelievable and unheard of. He would, if he just quit after the so many games, he would have been like he would hold like the best statistics of all time in baseball. So it was a crazy, crazy number. The thing that stands out to me on the lefty righty debate with Spencer Horwitz is that versus lefties, he only hits singles. He's only hit singles. That's it. His slug, everything's the same. So The question there is that sustainable against lefties when you're not getting the extra base hits? And that's the big question with him. And we don't have a large enough sample size to know if there's going to be a fall off. But as of right now, when you're batting 364 against lefties, even if they are singles and you're hitting in the 1 or the 2 spot, I'm taking that every day of the week. So, yes, his righty stats are way, I mean, they're unbelievable against righties, actually. He's got an OPS of 965 against righties. Just crazy statistics from this guy. So he is really, really nice to see. Yeah, I really don't have a ton more to say on him. I think he's going out and he's proving it. He's one of these AAA guys that came up and you've seen immediate results. And maybe that's because of the age. He's a little bit older. He's maybe had some more time facing MLB or close to MLB caliber pitchers. So that could be definitely a piece. When looking at Addison Barger, obviously came up to the majors. Maybe he wasn't quite ready yet. And I think that's a very strong possibility that he was brought up too early. Or Elvis Martinez, another guy that probably not quite the time for him. And that's not including his 80-game suspension for PEDs or drugs. So, yeah, it's nice to see when guys come up, Ernie Clement, Davis Schneider, Spencer Horwitz, these guys that were all able to come in and make an impact. But you can't look at this team, or you can't look at the prospects that you have and expect all of your young guys to come up and produce like all-stars. That's not going to happen. You're seeing it with Davis Schneider. You're seeing it with Ernie Clement. These aren't guys that were supposed to be all-stars on this team. They were supposed to come in and be role fillers. That they were supposed to give you what you needed, but your all-stars should and always should carry this team. So at the end of the day, even if Spencer Horwitz doesn't keep this level of play up, an absolutely excellent additional piece for this Toronto Blue Jays team.
Well, even just looking at Spencer Horwitz, though, he looks like he's been in the MLB for the last 5 seasons. He looks so comfortable at the plate. 2 stats that really pop up for me. Obviously his on-base percentage of .449. That's absolutely insane. And then another one is his WRC plus of a 168, with the average being 100. This guy's just raking baseballs. And like I said kind of before, and I think you could probably agree with this, with the left-handed debate situation, should Spencer Horwitz be an everyday player? Who else would you rather have over Spencer Horwitz in this lineup anyway? Like, you could maybe argue Vladdy, but other than that, I think Spencer Horwitz has done more than enough to earn this spot on this team. And, like, you're looking at this Bison's roster as well. Like, who's left down there? Like, the entire Bison's roster is on the Toronto Blue Jays. They've tested out pretty much every single prospect that had even a chance of coming up this season. But again, maybe this is a little bit too positive of a spin zone because Bo Bichette hasn't figured it out. But if Bo Bichette does figure it out, Vladdy continues to hit the way he does. IKF comes back. Again, we'll talk about this more. But he continues to do what he's doing. George Springer's figured it out. Spencer Horwitz. You have a lineup of something like, and say this is your top 5, just throwing it out there. Say you have George Springer, Spencer Horwitz, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., then Bo Bichette, and then you have IKF maybe hitting 5. Probably not, wouldn't be hitting 5. But say those are your 5 best hitters. This isn't the worst offense I've ever seen. Again, it's a lot of ifs here. Bo Bichette needs to figure it out. He looks absolutely horrendous right now. And I guess this will be a little bit of a transition. Is IKF going to keep his strong performance up? So obviously IKF got injured while he was stretching. He actually said that he thought his season was going to be over after this injury, and he was very surprised that his season wasn't over due to this. It's like a PCL sprain or something to do with his knee. I don't know the exact terminology. Unfortunately, on this podcast, we are not doctors, believe it or not. But with IKF though, just a guy that, again, I'll hand up. I'll say this every single time we talk about him. I didn't love this signing in the offseason. Completely proved me wrong. But looking at IKF's season stats right now, 292 average, 7 home runs. I think his career high in home runs is either 8 or 9. So he's getting very close to that even. 33 RBIs, an OPS of 758, playing premier level defense. Just an unfortunate injury at an unfortunate time. Probably don't see him come back before the All-Star break. It doesn't really make sense. They only got 6 more games left. They probably give him that extra couple days to recover. But with IKF, I guess I'll throw it over to you to start off. I was wanting to go into kind of his career averages, and that's what I was going to argue here. Because IKF right now, I'll just say this, it's flat out, get it out here. IKF is playing out of his mind compared to his career averages. This is the first year that IKF has an OPS plus of over 100. It's the first time he's been over a league average hitter. So everything would kind of tell you that IKF should eventually fall off a cliff here. But again, IKF could just be having an insane season. Stuff like this happens every single time, a lot of the time, not exactly for Blue Jays players, which we've been seeing a lot of the time. Is just talking about Vladdy in 2021. God, just a little side note here. If you're ever sad about the Toronto Blue Jays, just watch Vladdy 2021 highlights. Shouldn't even have to be said, but what a baseball player that guy was in that year. But just going back to you with IKF, do you think this guy continues to kind of just his hot first half of the season after the All-Star break? Do you kind of see him falling off a cliff? Maybe not falling off a cliff, but just coming back to earth here a little bit and playing just more of his brand of baseball that he's put together over the last 8 seasons.
Yeah, so when we were talking about this beforehand, I sort of had to think of an answer. I sort of wanted to put my thoughts together a little bit. We got back from baseball. I had a bit of a shower. I'm thinking, and I'm thinking about IKF and thinking, okay, what do I, honest to God, think is going to happen? This is my take. IKF's going to come back post-injury, and it's going to be a rough bit of a stretch because most players out of the injuries don't come out and just go right back to how they were. They need some time to ramp back up. And I think that's a very realistic possibility for IKF. But in saying that, he's been one of this team's most, if not the most consistent player this season. And I, honest to God, believe that he's going to continue to have this type of season. I don't think there's any way that IKF is a huge regression. I think there's going to be a rough stretch right when he comes back. And and just as every other guy off of injury has a bit of a rough patch coming back. But I think he gets right back to it. I think he is going to be, at the end of this season, when everything's said and done, this team's debatably one or two, debating on Vlad, most consistent player. And I don't necessarily believe that there's an argument against that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. People come back from injuries and they struggle all the time, especially now it's going to be a little bit extended because of this All-Star break. I don't know if it's going to take long for IKF, though. I think he's made some swing changes. He seems like he's very at home with this Toronto Blue Jays fan base, not nearly as hostile as the New York Yankees fan base, believe it or not. But yeah, just going in, the only thing that worries me is just his OBS plus numbers, as I said kind of before, but I'll just rifle them off here. So I'll start at 2018 and go to the current year. So we had 80, then a 58. Obviously, 58 is kind of an outlier here. 93, 85, 84, 78, and this year is a 115 OPS plus. Other than that, you're looking at his slugging. His slugging is up a lot from his previous seasons. On-base percentage is the best of his career, but that's not crazy. Batting average also the best of his career. It's nothing crazy there as well. It's just, I think IKF he loves playing in Canada. He loves Canada. That's the narrative. IKF loves the Toronto Blue Jays. He's a Canadian guy. Well, he might as well be. I know he's not actually from Canada, but he loves playing in Toronto. He loves the Toronto fan base. He loves playing for an entire country. And that's just simply what it is. But with IKF, yeah, maybe he does have a little bit of regression. But if he can get like 265, like for IKF, you're paying him $7.5 million a year. Nobody expected IKF to come into this year and hit 310 with 30 home runs. Just simply isn't what it is. And then IKF, just looking at it from a broad perspective, he's been playing way out of his contract. He's been playing probably for a guy that's worth 12.5, maybe the Kevin Kiermaier money. Probably deserves a little bit more money than that even. But yeah, I cannot complain about anything IKF has done. I still want to see him hit high up in the order if he can come back and hit the way he was, because IKF has been a spark plug, a guy that has an unbelievable WAR for the role that he was brought in to have. Just I can't say anything bad about IKF. Usually, again, we're pretty negative on this podcast, but when you talk about IKF, you talk about Spencer Horwitz, pretty hard to be negative about those two players.
Well, Carter, honestly, IKF is 29 years old, having the best season of his career. We looked at a guy of Justin Turner who, at the start of this season, 39-year-old Justin Turner was playing as the best Blue Jay for the first little bit of this season. And if IKF at 29 can do that through this entire season, I'm not shocked. I think that he's still got many, maybe not a ton, but a decent amount of years left where he can play good baseball. And baseball is one of those sports where you sort of get to know the league, you get to figure things out, and the more years you get, to an extent, helps you out. And so I think that's a big thing for IKF. It's a little bit of a learning phase. He wasn't ever supposed to be this superstar player. So some guys just take a little bit longer than others.
Yeah, with IKF, if everything goes as it is going with the Toronto Blue Jays season, and maybe we don't have playoff baseball to look forward to, The chase for 9. IKF's career home run total, the highest had in the MLB season, 8 home runs. Let's get him to 9. You know what? Let's go crazy here. Let's get him to 10. Double-digit home runs for IKF this season. All he needs is 3 more. The guy's been raking. As soon as he introduced that little slide step, because IKF has been on a different planet. And again, looking at IKF's defense, it makes him so valuable for the Toronto Blue Jays team. I just wish that every other player on the Toronto Blue Jays pretty much could hit baseballs. That would be a very cool thing. If Bo Bichette was actually Bo Bichette, if Justin Turner could be just a little bit more consistent, if Kevin Kiermaier, I don't know, just maybe didn't play at this point. We've been really beating the brakes off Kevin Kiermaier here, but it's been tough to watch. I think the guy's hitting like 190 now. He is pretty old again at this point. Alejandro Kirk, another guy, I'll just try to stay with the positives here. I'm getting a little bit sidetracked with my Blue Jays woes again. IKF hopefully comes back. Hopefully has a great rest of the season. I think this might be a career year for IKF. I don't see him falling off a cliff whatsoever. I think he continues his grind. I think he continues to stay hot. Again, maybe the first 4 or 5 games aren't the hottest, but when you're out for 3 weeks, almost a month of baseball, kind of tough to get right back into that adjustment. Saying that, we have a series to preview. This is an interesting one. Jordan Hicks comes back to town. Matt Chapman, a guy that we talk a lot about this podcast, comes back to town. Just before we do go into that, I wanted to throw it over to the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today, or the Amazon Fire TV's channel app. Expert analysis 24/7, whenever it is convenient for you. Be sure to check that out. So we do have to go into that series, a big series for the Toronto Blue Jays. Maybe we get a sweep. Maybe we just get back-to-back series wins. I don't think I've said that in a very long time. So we're going to get into this series preview coming up. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks is very simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entries in as little as 60 seconds. So I said, Matt Chapman is coming back to town. And unfortunately for him, I am preying on his downfall. So I have him less than 6.5 points. I have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. more than 7 fantasy points. I think they're both going to hit. I'm preying on Matt Chapman's downfall. But knowing the Toronto Blue Jays, knowing their history with some of these players, Matt Chapman's somehow going to launch his first game. But I'm hoping that this pick that I'm placing is going to help Matt Chapman not do that against the Toronto Blue Jays, at least in the first game. So if you know which players are going to perform on specific nights, this is a no-brainer. Download Prize Picks and start making your picks today. You can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Here on Locked On Blue Jays, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that Blue Jays parlay this season and need help correctly filing, go to 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/locked-on. See the link in the episode description below.
So, Carter, series to preview. Oh my goodness, this one I've been waiting for. I can't lie. To see Jordan Hicks come back and face off against the Toronto Blue Jays was an exciting one that I've been waiting for all season. Let's start off today's game. Yusei Kikuchi versus Blake Snell. 0-3 on the season. Blake Snell 9.51 ERA. A little bit of dyslexia there. Game 2 Wednesday, Chris Bassett versus Webb. Webb's ERA is 3.09, Bassett 3.43. And then Thursday, Kevin Gausman versus Jordan Hicks. What a matchup on Thursday. That is going to be a fun game. I got the Bomber game that day. It is lining up perfectly for an afternoon one for me, so I can tune into that and still, have to, work my actual job as well. So it's perfect. That is a perfect day for me.
See, on paper, you're looking at these matchups. Blake Snell, like you go back to last year. Blake Snell, Jordan Hicks, again, you got to assume that he's a starting pitcher, I guess, and Logan Webb. That doesn't look great. But Blake Snell has been on the IL and obviously has not had a good season. This is his first game back. So I don't think he's going to be going 6 innings unless the Toronto Blue Jays find the way to be the most efficient outs of all time. But again, looking at this offense, Blake Snell, it would not surprise me if somehow he had a good day, probably his first good day of the season. Logan Webb is the game I'm scared of. I think Logan Webb is going to just dominate this team. I don't think it's necessarily going to be close. And then a fun one on the last game, obviously Jordan Hicks. It's going to be interesting to see. He started off really hot, and then he's been scuffling a little bit as of late. But again, the Toronto Blue Jays have a good way of allowing these guys to kind of find their stride when we're playing this game. I don't know what I want. Again, I'm so just kind of tired of watching Toronto Blue Jays baseball. Other than the Seattle Mariners, the Mariners series was good.
It was fun.
But I don't know what I'm expecting here. Like say they win 2 series, they win against the D-backs. That's gonna be an interesting one too, obviously, because the Moreno trade with Lourdes Gurriel being over there, Dalton Varsho. But yeah, I mean, you go 4-2, you're still 6 games under 500. Somehow you sweep, you'd still be 2 games under 500. And the Toronto Blue Jays just don't sweep series unless it's against the Chicago White Sox. They do that against that team. But looking at the Giants, this Giants team isn't that good. I don't think it's that good at all. Jorge Soler's not playing that good of baseball. Matt Chapman, his WAR is okay, but his defensively he's not been playing that good. Recently, he's been all right, but there's not a lot of good players on this Giants team. Again, I would like 2 out of 3, just the baseball fan in me. But really, all I want at this point in the season, I think, is just close games. I want competitive games. Hopefully, the bullpen doesn't blow anything. Just if it can be like 5-4 games, like we saw, 4-3 games, even like the odd maybe 6-4 game, I would be okay with. But if I could ask for anything at all, Matt Chapman goes 0 for a million, and then we do get to Jordan Hicks a little bit in that 3rd game.
Yeah, and sorry, I do have to make a correction. Bomber game is Friday. Thursday's my off day, so that's even better for me to watch that game. My whole timing, my whole everything is just off right now. It has been a crazy weekend into the beginning of the week for me. I think I'm rolling off about 2 hours of sleep, so the brain isn't braining right now. But yeah, I agree with you. If my main goal of this series is to see Matt Chapman be horrible, and I know that's just sort of a loser way of thinking, and I totally agree. I think that is petty and low, but that's where I'm at this point. I'm praying against other teams, and I'm praying against other guys that used to be Blue Jays. I can't go into the narrative that Matt Chapman is better than when he was with the Blue Jays. Nothing in me will be able to ever say that.
Here, I'll give this one for the Matt Chapman defenders out there. So over his last 15 games, Matt Chapman's hitting .333 with a .431 on base percentage and a .648 slugging. Maybe Matt Chapman's figuring it out here. Maybe he's having a Blue Jays April, as they like to say. The kids like to say, I guess, or the Toronto Blue Jays fans that saw him play one good month. What a month that was, though. Crazy Matt Chapman for his April. I'll clap it up for that one. I'll give him a couple. But Matt Chapman, what I want to see, because we watched it for pretty much 2 straight years, especially in 2023. I want to see him strike out on middle fastballs. That's all I want. Just straight down the middle, just whiffing on everything. Just every single pitch. But again, we'll see what happens. The Toronto Blue Jays baseball, we're in a weird spot. Definitely did not want to be here at this point in the season. But here we are, approaching the All-Star game, hoping that we can win back-to-back series, or would that be 3 series in a row, which is just unfathomable at this point, and be 6 games below 500 at the All-Star break. But, it is what it is, I guess. It's just try to enjoy it. Try to enjoy the little things. I completely being a hypocrite about that, because now there's only little things to enjoy. It seems like the season is over. Maybe we're being a little bit too hard on this team, but from what we've seen, I don't necessarily think so. But maybe they go on a little run here. We do have hope. Like we were talking about in the Joey Votto segment, all we have is hope for this point. So I hope the Toronto Blue Jays can turn something around. Just wanted to say before we do head out, thank you guys for watching. The likes, comments, subscription, everything is always appreciated. We have noticed that I believe it's 68% of you guys are not subscribed. So if you guys are coming back, tuning into every single episode anyway, it helps us out a ton, and it keeps our podcasts and shorts, whatever we post on YouTube. We're also posting on Reels, everything like that. We'll keep that at the top of your page. Braden, you got anything else to add before we probably just honestly go to bed after this podcast here?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I got nothing else to add. I want to just try to get some sleep. Like we said, we have 4 baseball games to play this week on top of work and the
We
podcast.
might as well be major leaguers at this point. Let's just let's call us up to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, we have an off day. What Wednesday off day? I
Yeah,
guess for
Wednesday's our
us.
off day. Wednesday
That's
off
sick.
day for the Bossier Slow Pitch League.
That's sick. Okay. Anyway, guys, hope you guys can have some fun watching some Blue Jays baseball. We're going to. I mean, you know what? We always talk about how, it's tough watching. It's still baseball. I still love baseball. And even though it pains me, we still love baseball and hope you guys do as well.